Thank you for joining me for another edition of The Dish with Diaz. I'm your host, Marina Diaz. My guest today is Oscar Rendon. Oscar is a part of the Border Wellness Coalition and the Border Butterflies Project. Thank you for joining me, Oscar. What is it that you do exactly?
So hi, it's a pleasure to be on your show. My name is Oscar Rendon. I'm actually a student at San Diego City College. I'm in the comings of becoming an immigration lawyer, and most importantly, I serve as the CEO of a nonprofit called the Border Wellness Coalition, which is started as a grassroots movement to help improve immigration issues here at the international border of San Isidro that connects with Tijuana, Mexico. And I also recently was hired to be a project coordinator for Border Butterflies, which is an LGBTQ nonprofit that helps asylum seekers once they cross here into the United States, and also whether they're in Mexico or Latin America, trying to direct resources to them meanwhile they're making their journey here.
That is actually incredible, and that is something that you must take a lot of pride in. What do you personally contribute to both of those projects?
So basically, when I was younger, I'm originally from Aurora, Colorado, and my mother was also undocumented, and she didn't have the opportunity to go to school. She was an orphan at a very young age, and she was actually trafficked into the United States herself. And there was a point in time in my life when I was 12 years old, and my mother was detained by ICE coming out of a county court hearing, which is now illegal, thankfully. But back then, under the Obama administration in 2014, she signed her voluntary deportation, and I was 12 when she was detained. So it was about two and a half years into the administration when she finally decided to sign her voluntary deportation. And I fled the foster care system so I could follow her across the country and to Mexico. When I was an unaccompanied minor, I also, was unable to get resources from the county here in San Diego, and I had to wait until I was a young adult, 18 years old, to enroll myself into a charter school as homeless. And basically, I did the best I could to get an education, and I was granted a scholarship to San Diego City College through the Price Scholarship Program, which has helped me through mentorships. I've had a great number of mentors who have helped me develop my leadership skills and ultimately develop this idea of becoming an immigration attorney because of my experiences. And I've been doing on-the-ground work since about the beginning of March, visiting the encampment called Campamento Esperanza, Camp Hope. And the first few days, they were very challenging for me because as I was arriving and seeing how many children were arriving at the international border that I usually cross every day because I'm a commuter student and my mother lives here, and I have to also, sometimes stay in San Diego and rent a space with a friend. I resonate with a lot of their challenges, and I wanted to help in any way I could. Although I'm not an immigration attorney yet, I've always wanted to open a nonprofit organization, and because I was asking for donations and I was able to raise $1,500 in about 5 days, I decided that it was important that I did establish a nonprofit and look for community leaders who are willing to help me in this mission to improve the wellness of individuals who are displaced at international borders. And I am always open to working with community members, business professionals, nonprofits, and government entities. That's what this is all about, all hands on deck and helping improve the immigration system. But I don't want to disclose too much information about the families and their experiences because it's very challenging for them, and there's so many stories out there that haven't been told. But personally, with my experiences, that's why I decided to do this work and why I decided to get involved.
So this definitely has a personal touch for you. What can you tell me, does it affect any of your emotional stability doing this kind of work?
One of the things I learned throughout my journey in doing this is there are ups and downs, and there's times where I have to isolate myself and analyze my emotions and really think about how it's impacting me and how much of a sacrifice it's having on the relationships that I have and the time that I'm spending with other people, because basically I'm dedicating my time to people who need it the most, and the people who want to spend time with me, and the things that I want to spend time doing sometimes are not in alignment with what I'm doing with this work. And it's difficult for me because, you know, I'm only 21 years old, and as a first generation college student, first generation American, and you know, a community college student, it's not easy for me to have the same amount of access and resources as you know, other peers do. And I guess the number one thing that I always do is try to check on my mental health and check in with the counselor or a psychologist at my school, because thankfully I am offered that resource, and I try to make sure that I'm also checking in with my loved ones and asking for help if it's needed.
Do you think you found a good balance between that?
I honestly don't think I found a good balance, because I still stay up at night worried, and I still, you know, want to work late nights trying to figure out how I can help individuals. But I think that that's part of why I do this work, because I'm willing to stay up late nights to try to do the best I can to solve this issue.
Without getting too deep into it, because I know you want to keep some of these families' personal stories under wrap, can you tell me just kind of the environment that these people that are seeking asylum are experiencing?
So it's really sad to see that there are children and there's, you know, older folks who don't have basic needs like clothing, they don't have shoes, they don't have water, and they're ultimately having to sleep on curbs, on the sidewalk, on the street. And some individuals thankfully have gotten donations from people of the county of San Diego, bringing tents, waters, food, but it's still not enough. There's over 1,500 people that have arrived in the past couple of months, and there are MPP claims being processed, migrant protection protocols. That's what the program's called. And little by little, they're processing individuals, but they need to have a sponsor. And if they don't have a sponsor, once they're accepted to the program, then they're stuck ultimately at the border. And at the border, if you've ever visited here, there really is no access to bathrooms. There's no access to showers, and there's really hot weather sometimes here, or it could vary and it could rain. And when it rains here, it floods. So it is challenging for them. There's a lot of families who need medical attention for their children, operations. Children with disabilities also there, and no one's really willing to take the leadership, whether it's the Mexican government or the United States government, to really address this issue critically. But then again, I understand it's such a difficult issue trying to deal with all the other political issues that we see on a daily basis.
Absolutely. I'm sure politics play a huge role in this. So, I'm sorry, just a second. Do you have any advice on how other people can help your cause?
I feel like most importantly, we have to remember that there are still individuals who are detained in private prisons, like ICE. My mother was detained in one in Aurora, and it's important that we show up, we protest outside of those facilities. We check in with our loved ones, and there's many individuals who come from mixed status families, meaning they might be American citizens, but their brother, their cousin, their mom, their dad may not be a citizen, and they are faced with many challenges. And they're here in the state of California, there's a lot of resources, and the state tries to help them a lot, but in other states it's not the same. And I would just try to check in with your local community center and see if they offer any local resources for undocumented individuals. and if not, try to start an initiative, a group, a club, and provide local resources through your community center, or even if it's just on the corner of a block somewhere.
And is there anything else that you would like to add?
And most importantly, if you're interested in getting more involved in this work, if you're still young and if you feel like you resonate with this story, you should become an immigration attorney, and you should get involved with nonprofit organizations doing this work. Look them up and see how you can volunteer as well.
Do you think voting would help this cause, like using your right to vote?
Oh, yes, definitely. Checking in with your elected representatives, whether it's your city councilman, whether it's with your congressman, and then asking them what they're doing to improve immigration reform and address immigration issues, and bring them the issues that you see, and if you have a solution that you feel could be proposed, and bring it to them and see how they can advocate at a federal level to help, abolish private prisons and things like that.
Thank you for joining me, Oscar. I'm your host, Marina Diaz. This has been another edition of The Dish with Diaz. If you would like to support Oscar and all the hard work he does at the border, please click on the links below in the description. I hope you guys all have a wonderful rest of your day.
I took it upon myself to teach these families a little bit about what it means to organize. I wanted to make it very meaningful and also send a message to help us restore asylum. I want everyone to help us protect these women and children, and most importantly, send a message to the Vice President and hold him accountable for the promises he made to protect us. Pásenla para atrás, pásenlas para atrás. Ahorita vamos por más cosas para que tengan. Ahí les va. Órale, va, tráiganla.
Vamos a ver con la donación que llegó de parte de estadounidenses en San Diego, que quieren que todos nosotros estemos allá. ¿Un aplauso? Ok, estas personas que traen esta donación son personas que están en San Diego y que quieren que todos lleguemos allá, ¿va?
I want to give a big thank you to all the organizers and volunteers who showed up today to help us with our collection drive. We're trying to make sure that we show these families and migrant children at the borders that they're welcome, that we're here to support them. And most importantly, I want to thank We Stand United for helping organize this collection drive. A big thank you to all the donors, all my friends and family who shared this issue, and also to all the individuals who took the time to make awareness of this issue that is happening at the border. And lastly, we want to keep you guys updated on the work that we're doing. I want to make sure that we get an inventory of all the donations that were received, whether it was financially or through items like clothing, baby diapers, sanitary wipes, food, etc. Other than that, I'm looking forward to continuing doing this work as a first-generation American, first-generation college student, and hopefully pursue my dream to become an immigration attorney and turning this border awareness project into a nonprofit.